Started off, I grew up in West Haven. Like whenever I first came out of the hospitals, my mama was still living with my grandparents. I was living in West Haven, and from West Haven, I moved with my parents when we ended up moving to the South Side, and I went to school on the South Side from like first grade to fifth grade. Whenever I was in fifth grade, we moved back to the West Side, and we lived on the West Side probably from when I was in fifth grade to like eighth grade, and in eighth grade, I moved in with my grandparents back on the South Side in the Crestmont area, and that's where basically I was from like eighth grade till I grew up. Growing up, I was listening to like a lot of like East Coast and like West Coast stuff, like Tupac, Biggie, Bone Thugs, West Coast Connection, West Side Connection, a lot of Mac 10, Ice Cube. I wasn't really on a lot of the East Coast music, but I was fucking with like a few of it. Like I would never like really fuck with like Wu-Tang, but I was on like the Bad Boy, like real tough, you know what I'm saying? Even like the singers like 112 and all them, listening to Mace and all that shit. But mainly like West Coast shit, like I say, like the Tupacs and the Snoops, the Dr. Dre's and all that. I started making music and DJing myself in the year 2000. And that was based upon being influenced by like DJ Screw, because I was also later in my years, like in high school and stuff, we was listening to like a lot of DJ Screw, but DJ Screw died like right when I entered high school. So I used to like to listen to all the new music, slowed and chopped, screwed and chopped whenever DJ Screw would do it, but whenever DJ Screw passed away, he wasn't able to obviously do the new songs that were coming out. So I kind of took it upon myself to start making mixtapes, and not even just making mixtapes, just slowing down and chopping like all the new songs that would come out and putting them on CD, or sometimes just listening to them, but then start putting them on CDs, just riding around listening to them with me and my homies, and then that eventually branched out to people asking me to buy the CDs that I was making just for personal use. And from there I started selling CDs, pressing up mixtapes and selling them like that. The Corpus Christi compilation started out as really the real first Corpus compilation mix that I did was a personal mixtape from my homie Adrian, my homie SUC Holden, and it was Coastal Bending Corners Part 1, and we ended up doing like Part 2 and Part 3, but that was really just a personal mix that he wanted of his own, of all his favorite Corpus songs that he wanted, like slowed and chopped and mixed by me. So we did that, but we did actually end up pressing up copies of that CD, and we sold some, but that wasn't like a project that I was gonna put out myself. That was a project that I was commissioned to do, but it was just so jamming that we ended up putting it out. But then I did, the first one that I did on my own was the Coming Out of Corpus Part 1. And that was based upon, I give a little insight on that one right there. That one was basically like, it was a bunch of people going back and forth on Facebook about the Corpus music scene and just talking this, talking that. So I basically challenged myself and told everybody on social media that I could put together an all Corpus mixtape in like, I think I gave myself 48 hours to do it. And within 48 hours, I had got the artwork done by MRav. Let me see. After I got the artwork done by MRav, then I mixed it. I did the regular version first, and then I came back and I slowed and chopped it, and then I uploaded it online, and next thing you know, I put it out. So I actually, from the beginning to whenever I put it out, that mixtape literally took maybe 72 hours to start from scratch to actually putting it out. Then I also did Coming Out of Corpus Part 2, which I never did the slow and chop version. I just did the regular version. And that one, I ended up putting that one out too. And that one was basically, I ain't gonna say almost like the first one because it was completely different from the first one. But it was basically the second volume of that Coming Out of Corpus series, which was all Corpus Christi songs. I started sipping like in 1999. Used to chill with my homie Rico and shit. His mama was actually like a nurse at a doctor locally here in Corpus, and shit, she would just have bottles that she would get prescribed from that doctor just sitting around that damn house, and that shit would just be there. So before I even started sipping, I was probably around promethazine codeine for like a good maybe year or 2 years before I even knew what it was. And we would listen to DJ Screw, Swish House and all that shit, and they would always be talking about sip and syrup and all that shit. But back then it was so brand new that nobody even knew what the hell they was talking about. People knew they was talking about sip and syrup, but people didn't know what they was talking about, drinking pancake syrup or what the fuck kind of syrup they was talking about. So on one of them damn tapes that we were listening to, the dude basically straight up said, we sipping bar, promethazine, codeine. And I remember I told myself, next time I go to Rico's house, I'm gonna look at one of them bottles and see what them bottles say on that. And I remember getting over there maybe like a couple of days later looking at that damn bottle, and that bottle said promethazine codeine on it. I remember telling him, man, this the shit that them niggas rapping about on them goddamn tapes. I remember instantly we went to the goddamn stove. We didn't even know how to drink this shit. We went to the stove, probably got like a 20-ounce Sprite and probably poured like the whole goddamn 8 in that motherfucker because we so brand new with it, didn't even know how to drink the shit. Just fucking around some kids, just ran into a fucking gold mine that we didn't even know what the fuck we was sitting up on the whole time, that it was basically had been sitting there type shit. And from there, like shit, I remember being at Carroll High School, shit, freshman, sophomore year, walking around with goddamn 2 liters purple goddamn Sprite. It was so brand new that nobody would even like stop me, like the teachers, the security guards, like nobody would stop me or nothing and be like, what the hell, why is that soda just colored or some shit? Like, it was so brand new with it that nobody even knew what the hell it was, man. I'm talking, this was when you could get a deuce for like $25, shit. You could get a 4 for like 50 type shit. In February 2015, I opened the store. Me and my ex-business partner, we opened the store. Shout out B. We opened the store in the Corpus Christi Trade Center called The Plug, Mixtapes and Urban Apparel. And our goal was to get merchandise and different stuff that they didn't sell in Corpus, stuff that you would have to go like to San Antonio, Dallas, and Houston and bigger cities to get, and bring it down here to sell, so where people didn't have to travel to get that type of stuff. And also, whenever we opened the Plug, it was also an outlet for me to sell the mixtapes that I had been doing, because up until that point, it was just basically selling out the trunk. I was just basically putting up on you. You message me on Facebook, I'll pull up on you, sell you some mixtapes, or you can come pull up on me and I'll sell you some mixtapes. Or if you hit me up for a personal, I do the personal and then drop it off or you pick it up. So whenever we opened the Plug, that was like an outlet for me to sell my mixtapes also. Well, fast forward a year later, we end up closing the Plug. Like shit kind of like fell on like some like hard times type shit, and fucking I ended up getting like a regular goddamn job, and I was working at a regular job out there in the oil field and shit with my homeboys, a couple of the homeboys that I was with. And I remember the job I had was basically just like a turnaround. It was a 45-day turnaround. For people that don't know what a turnaround is basically a job that you go in on a certain date and you know that the job is gonna end on a certain date. So there ain't no, you gonna work for this company for 6 months or a year. It's basically 45 days with this company and then you back to unemployed. But the job was so good, like it was basically paying like $1,000 a week, and the company that was doing the turnaround, my homeboys were looking at it like trying to get put on long term. But me, I'm looking at it like I'm trying to get in for this 45 days, stack my bread and start my own shit. Cause if I had to go, like I'm finna go open back another stove. And my homeboy that I'm working with out there at the oil field and shit, they basically telling me like, man, don't even worry about that shit. You already let the other stuff go. You shouldn't worry about that. You should just keep on working out here with us. And I'm like, man, fuck that. That shit was like slave work. And I did it because that's what I had to do to stack my bread. But I didn't like doing that shit. I didn't want to do that shit. So I had a goal whenever I went in. And whenever I went in, I had my homies that was basically telling me to like fucking squash my goals and just let them go and just to keep on working out here with them. So that shit almost inspired me more. But also at the same time, it was also making me think like, damn, are these niggas right? Should I just not do another brand? Should I just keep working out here with them niggas? But I was like, fuck that. So whenever I left that damn job, I started my own brand, which was the Riding High shit. And I started off just making like t-shirts and hats and shit. And then from there, went from t-shirts and hats to air fresheners to hoodies to shit, all types of shit, to using the Riding High brand to throw events and do Buck Days events. I've done 2 Buck Days events, the Buck Days unofficial, part 1 and part 2. We got wiped out in 2020 because of COVID and shit, but hopefully we be back 2020 and 21 we got wiped out because of COVID, but hopefully 2022 this year we be back at it shit. But just starting the Riding High thing has just helped me be my own fucking boss and not have to have a partner, and everything is based on my decisions. I ain't gotta go through nobody else's what I wanna do. I'm the boss of myself, so that just helped me just a lot, just be my own, like I say, branch off and do my own shit, do my own events, have my own merchandise. It ain't nothing like having your own shit, for damn sure. What's coming next? I got a Coming Out of Corpus, like I said, I got the Coming Out of Corpus series. I got Coming Out of Corpus part 3 coming up soon, which will be all the new hottest Corpus songs. That's gonna be a CD, a DVD, and I'm gonna put it online. But before I do Coming Out of Corpus part 3, I'm gonna do Coming Out of Corpus part 2.5, which will be a throwback edition, which will be all throwback Corpus classics. You know what I'm saying? From like the 90s all the way up until like the early 2000s, early 2010s and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's gonna be a CD, a DVD, and I'm gonna put that one online also. And I got a bunch of events coming up, shit, just so look out, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, with the Buck Days thing coming up, and I also got idea of some vintage shit that I wanna do coming up. I'm gonna keep that a little secret. I kinda let it out, but I'm gonna keep the rest of it in the bag, so y'all stay looking out for that too.